My name is Emily Pierce, and I work in administration and finance, and I'm leading the communication efforts on the transition of monthly paid employees to a biweekly pay frequency. Um, and I've got others today on the town hall with me, I believe, from the HR and payroll offices. Today, I'll walk through a timeline of the transition and try to kind of cover all of the things that you need to know. Today's town hall is going to focus on the group of employees transitioning in April of 2024. So this is your monthly paid staff and 12-month academic positions that will be transitioning to biweekly payroll in April. We do have town halls available specifically for 9-month faculty and for graduate assistants. So after I walk through the timeline today, and go through the details of the transition, I'll open it up at the end and make sure we have plenty of time for you all to ask any questions that you have. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in. So we've sent out communications to the employees that are being impacted by the transition to biweekly payroll. Kind of each group has gotten different emails, and some of you have gotten some of the same ones with the different resources that we're making available as well. Hourly employees that are already paid on a biweekly schedule are not being impacted by this transition. The groups that are being impacted are monthly paid employees. So that's salaried staff, 12-month academic appointments, graduate assistants, 9-month faculty, and other appointments like adjuncts and researchers. And there's some other monthly paid students. And then I will be sending out another updated email this week specifically to staff, just because kind of the last big communication you all received was over the summer. And then we'll continue to send out communication throughout the, up through the transition periods. So the first question that I think a lot of people want answered is why are you doing this to us? Or, why are we transitioning our monthly paid employees to a biweekly payroll? So there are kind of a few reasons that prompted this transition. And one is, in the current monthly state that we're paying employees, the monthly payroll is processed prospectively, meaning that mid-month we have payroll processing deadlines, and we're processing payroll on actions that could be occurring at the end of the month. So if an event or action occurs after the payroll deadline, we've essentially missed the deadline to get it on corrected on that month's paycheck. So in a future state, in the biweekly state, we process payroll retrospectively, which means that the payroll deadline will be the last day of that pay period. So that means that all of the actions or events have already occurred, and hopefully we're aware of them, and so we're able to get them on that paycheck. And we're hopeful that that allows us to eliminate or at least significantly reduce the amount of payroll errors that result in overpayments or just incorrect payments and the number of emergency check requests. So to give you an idea of what those payroll errors look like, on Norman campus over the past 4 years, we have about 900 payroll corrections per year. And that doesn't just impact the central offices, it impacts all of the departments that are having to assist in processing those corrections. And then, of course, it impacts the employees that are directly impacted. Additionally, we're making efforts across all areas of the university to standardize our business practices so that we aren't operating so differently or separately across campuses. And that just, that helps us be more efficient in what we're doing, and to just hopefully do it better and not have as many errors to correct. Also over half of Norman campus employees are already paid on a biweekly schedule, and all of the Health Science Center employees are paid on a biweekly schedule. So converting the remaining monthly paid employees to a biweekly schedule will just help us kind of shrink our number of payrolls that we're processing. So right now we process 38 payrolls per year. So we have the 12 monthly and then 26 biweekly. In a future state, we'll just have 26 biweekly payrolls. And so that frees up time, again, not just for the central office staff and payroll and HR, but also staff in the department that are responsible for submitting and reviewing payroll actions. And then it also kind of takes off some of the timing pressure for those offices that are submitting actions too. So like I mentioned earlier, having that deadline on the back end of the payroll schedule instead of kind of in the middle of the month. From a recruiting perspective, I think that there are many employees that would prefer to be paid more frequently. I definitely understand that's not across the board. And if you've been used to a monthly schedule for, 10, 20 years, it can be definitely an adjustment. But for new employees coming into the university, they may likely be accustomed to a more frequent pay schedule. And then some existing staff have expressed interest in, hey, now I can make payments more frequently on my mortgage or investment contributions. So there are some benefits. I always like to point out the positive things to any changes, because I know that any change is kind of a challenging and maybe not a welcome thing to deal with. So we'll also talk through some resources available to employees who are kind of navigating this transition from monthly to biweekly pay. But before I talk about employee resources available to you guys, I want to walk through the timeline of this transition. So the monthly staff and 12-month academic positions are going to transition to a biweekly pay schedule in April of 2024. The graduate assistants and monthly paid student employees will transition in July of 24. And then the 9-month faculty, that includes 9 paid in 9 and 9 paid in 12 faculty, they will transition in August of 2024 when their contracts renew. So the reason why we've kind of got these 3 different timelines is because each of these employee groups are just a little bit different in nature. And so the reason why we wanted to transition the staff and 12-month academic appointments in April is kind of to ensure, optimal timing with our benefits deductions on paychecks. And that's due to the month of May of 24 having 3 biweekly paychecks. So that allows those employees to spread out their benefits deductions across 2 paychecks instead of having to take it out of 1 biweekly. That would not feel good. And we kind of learned from our friends at the Health Science Center as they transitioned their employees back in 2015. And that was kind of one of their lessons learned that they shared with us. And then the GAs in July, we have, as you can imagine, we have half as many GAs working during the summer as we do during the academic year. And then that July timing just worked the best for the GAs. And then, like I mentioned, 9-month academic appointments, their contracts renew every August. So we had to, or it would work out the best to kind of catch them when their contracts were renewing. So I've got a calendar pulled up here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I think that kind of seeing the visuals of the calendar, at least it helps me kind of walk through the timing of the transition to a biweekly schedule. So if you're looking at this calendar, the monthly staff will receive their last monthly paycheck on April 30th, and it will not be for a full month of April pay. It will be for April 1st through the 19th. And so on April 20th will be the first day of your first biweekly pay cycle. And so I mentioned earlier that biweekly, I think I did, that biweekly pay is processed 2 weeks in arrears. So on April 20th, you'll enter into your first biweekly pay cycle, and you'll get your first biweekly paycheck on May 17th. Okay, so if you're already kind of doing the math on that, you're thinking, hey, that's a kind of a delay in the pay that I'm used to receiving. And so what the university has agreed to and the Board of Regents has approved is that this group can take up to 80 hours of leave. And this is optional. For every employee, your situation is going to be different and how you want to kind of manage this transition. But If you elect to, you may choose to receive up to 80 hours of leave, and up to 40 hours of that 80 hours can be extended sick leave. And you can elect to cash it in. And so that means you're not, in lieu of taking the leave, like taking time off, you're saying, take this leave from my leave accrual balance and pay it to me on a paycheck on May 3rd. And so on May 3rd, you could cash in up to 80 hours. Or you can do, if you said, hey, I just want to use 40 hours of my ESL to cash in, that's all I want to touch, then you can do that. Or you can do any combination, just so long as it doesn't exceed 80 hours total or exceed 40 hours of extended sick leave. There will be a form available on employee self-service in February, where employees will be asked to go in and select what they want to have cashed out to or cashed into them. And employees will need to say, I want 0 hours or I want 80 hours. So we want all employees to go in just so we know that, hey, you've seen the communication, you've seen that this is an option, and just kind of acknowledge whether you want to take anywhere from 0 to 80 hours. On that May 3rd paycheck, you will not have benefits deducted from it. So we talked about the month of May having 3 paychecks. So there is May 3rd if you elect to cash in leave. If you do not elect to cash in anything, then you will not receive a paycheck on May 3rd. The next biweekly paycheck is on the 17th, and then again on the 31st. So typically on a biweekly schedule, there are 26 pay periods during the year. So we're talking biweekly, you're not getting paid 2 times a month. You're getting paid every 2 weeks or every other Friday. And so, that means that if there's 26 pay periods during the year, you have 2 months out of the year that you have 3 biweekly paychecks. And so typically, so for our hourly friends that are already paid on a biweekly schedule, their first 2 paychecks of the month, they do have benefits deducted. And then on the last paycheck, there are no benefits deducted. But for you guys on the just because of the timing of this transition, the 17th and the 31st are when your benefits will be deducted, but not on the 3rd. Oops. Okay. So another thing that I want to mention, and we're kind of past this point, but you may be, it may be just helpful to be familiar, is their employees that are starting close to the April 24th or 2024 date probably wouldn't have enough leave time saved up to kind of bridge the delay in payment. So starting November 4th, any salaried employee that's new to the university or newly hired would be hired in as a biweekly employee, so that we're not getting them started on a monthly schedule just to turn around a few months later and transition them to biweekly. So if you have colleagues that are sitting next to you and you're in the same position, but they're paid biweekly already, that may be why. Let's see. And that's true for salaried staff and for GAs, but for 9-month appointments, they will have to stay monthly until August. So earlier I mentioned that we have some resources available to employees to kind of help navigate this transition. And so on our website, there's different sections for the each group of employees. So there's a section for staff, a section for the 9-month faculty, and a section for GAs. So under the staff and 12-month academic positions, if you navigate to the employee resources tab, we kind of have a breakdown of all the resources that we have listed here. So the first one that I want to talk about is the transitional leave pool. And we sent an email out to employees last week about the transitional leave and if employees want to donate hours. And so the transitional leave pool is for employees who may have an FMLA event where they couldn't save up enough leave, or they they need extra help to kind of bridge that. And there's information on who's eligible to request the leave, and then information as well if you are interested in donating leave to the pool. The other resource that we have listed here is, get back. Magellan, our EAP provider, is offering financial workshops available to any employees who just want some kind of extra assistance in rethinking their personal finances or budgeting on going from receiving a paycheck on a monthly basis to biweekly. So we had one on November 28th, and the recording is here if you'd like to listen to that. And then there's also the budget worksheet that they went over that can be downloaded, or you can join us for a live session on January 18th. We also sent out an email recently about the OU Federal Credit Union is offering bridge loans, and therefore up to 1 month of your net salary, and there's 0% interest for 12 months. They'll let you start applying up to a month before you transition. So probably in March, you want to reach out to them, and they're pretty responsive, and so it's pretty quick process. But if you have any questions and you want to go ahead and kind of ask them about them, they've got their contact information here. And again, an email went out about this, but it's also linked on our website. Okay. And then the other things that I just wanted to point out on our website is that we have a payroll schedule comparison, which is a really nice kind of one-pager breakdown of how does my pay look on a monthly basis, and how will it look on a biweekly schedule. So it just really kind of puts it all on one page of what's changing and what's staying the same. And then we also have an FAQ section, and we just continue to keep our website updated with the latest news and information that we can. And then the last thing I'm going to plug is that we have an email. If you have any questions, or you think of any questions after this, or you have something that you want to ask that you don't want to ask in front of the group today, you can email us at paydaychange@ou.edu.